I study immigration and the influence of immigration on Irish society, but I also study Irish responses to immigration, which have a huge impact in shaping indeed how immigrants fare in our society. For example, government policy, how this has changed over time. So there are different elements to it. I mean, we've had a series of migrants coming into our country over the last several decades, but also earlier historic experiences that, whilst those groups are perhaps smaller, tell us something also about how we've responded since. So in essence, what I've tried to do is track the changes in how our society has responded to migration, the influence of immigration on Irish society, and as well as that, then looking at particular issues, dilemmas and problems arising from immigration. And of course, the need to perhaps discuss these perhaps in a way that hasn't quite made it to the front of the political agenda yet. I mean, Ireland is not unique as a society. Most societies have encountered migrants, seen migrants as enriching their societies, as making them richer. Ireland is no exception to this. But at the same time, there's a need to think proactively about how we make a multicultural society work for everybody. So there's a part of it that needs to understand how migrants might be blocked from participating in our society, such as, for example, by racism, discrimination, the impact of having lesser rights, or indeed issues around culture and language. There are issues about our institutions that need to be addressed. For example, we have a political system, and our political system includes people who are often elected from the same family generation after generation. Where are migrants to fit into this? If we look at the political systems of other countries, we see that perhaps some of them, who are diverse societies, represent the diversity of their communities much better in their parliaments and so on. Ireland is inclusive in some respects that we should be very proud of, but also, unfortunately, there are areas perhaps where we're neglecting the possibility of being inclusive, and at the same time neglecting some of the problems that immigrants experience in our society. So immigrants are a huge boon to our society, but at the same time, there's a challenge, I think, in understanding this and working it through, especially in relation to our social policy. Irish people love studying their history. You'll go into any bookshop and you'll see loads of history books about the history of our country, be it commemorations of 1916 and all of that. We're making the future history of our society every day and in every way. The current of our situation of our society is that it is now a diverse society, that the 2016 Ireland is a very diverse place. We need to understand that society and how it works. It doesn't just happen by accident. Migration comes in perhaps because of the impact of the economy, the fact that the economy benefited hugely from immigrant workers coming in. We bring in refugees as a result of some of the crises around the world. People come here, they make their lives in our society. We need to perhaps have a narrative and understanding of our society that is more inclusive than the one we have now. In terms of social policy, which is the area of work where I'm in, if we don't understand how different groups are faring, if we don't understand the barriers that some people are experiencing, if we don't, for example, take into account that, for example, some people experience racism and discrimination in our society, then we're setting ourselves up for failures. Failures as a society, failing the full range of people in our society. And the issues that apply to migrants also apply to groups like travellers, for example, who have been marginalised in our society generation on generation. And there we can see not just the impact of discrimination in our society, but the failure of social policy, the failure of our political system perhaps as well. We don't want to make all the mistakes that every other country made. At the same time, we have a very, very positive set, I think, of issues, very positive scenarios perhaps in terms of immigration in our society at the moment. It's mostly good, it's mostly positive, but at the same time we need to understand that some people are experiencing barriers and are being left behind. And even during the recession, immigration was an ongoing constant of our lives. Just as people were moving away to places like Australia to find work, others were coming here to make lives themselves too. So our diverse society, is about not just the people who are here, but the people who were here who may want to come back, the people who will move in here, their children, their families, and a very, very different society perhaps than the one our parents knew.